If your lawn is looking a little brown this season due to the watering ban, the Department of Public Works wants you to know the sacrifice is out of necessity and that it thanks everyone who's turned off their irrigation systems to help keep the water flowing for needed indoor uses. The current ban is in place because repair work on a filter at the Brook treatment plant turned out to be more complicated than originally thought. Workers noticed that these hatches were showing signs of corrosion and needed to be replaced, and during that time, the capacity at the plant was reduced. That work was done, and the DPW is now testing the filter, and it should be back online in about 2 weeks.
I know it sounds like a long time, but it's a whole process. Once it is tested, the filter has to be dry so we can coat it. Then we have to wait until the coating is dry before we can actually refill the filter. And refilling the filter is hard. I mean, we have pallets after pallets after pallets of gravel and sand that need to be placed in layers in the filter.
Decreasing the water at Brook put more of a strain on the Mill Pond Reservoir, which sped up the need for maintenance work at that site once the filter here is back online due to an increased draw of water. Once that work is complete, the DPW will assess the situation and make a decision at that time about lifting the watering ban.
Thankfully, it rained this week, and they're calling for rain over the weekend. But just before that, we were in sort of like a drought period. So we're going to look at it at the end of the month to see where we are. The drought management team in the state has actually been meeting every 2 weeks now because of the drought conditions that they've seen through the state. So we're going to follow their guidelines and see where we are at that point and decide on what, if any, water bans we may need once this is back online.
Since the watering ban was put in place, the DPW has been flooded with calls from residents with questions. So I asked the director to answer a couple of the most frequently asked.
Well, the biggest thing that we get asked is, I just planted grass seed or I just planted my lawn, can I water my lawn? And unfortunately, the answer to that is no, we can't. We can't allow watering because we do not have the water. I mean, it's as simple as that. We're limited by the amount of water that we have. So that's the major one. The other one is I have a vegetable garden. I want my tomatoes to grow for the summer, and can I water them? And we'll say, yes, you can with a garden hose, and you're holding that garden hose when you do it. You can't run sprinklers. Sprinklers waste a lot of water, and we're trying to, again, prevent the waste of water.
Another common question is whether the ban applies to just residents or to commercial properties as well.
Actually, everybody has to comply with it. And we have sent, since July 5th, which is when we instituted the full water ban, we have sent, I believe, last count, over 50 warnings to both residential and commercial properties, warning them that they have to abide by the water ban. And we're already issuing fines to both residents and commercial properties for the ones who are not following through.
Finally, for those frustrated with the watering ban, the long-term solution of joining the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority, or MWRA, has been approved, but the town is not yet connected.
Yes, town meeting approved for us to join, but we have not joined yet. This is a lengthy process. It requires legislation, requires a lot of permitting through the state, which we already started. But it's going to take about a year. So if we are lucky, by next summer, we may have the permits to be able to actually join the MWRA.
And that initial connection will only get the town back to where it was before 3 of the wells were found to be contaminated. A larger connection that would allow the town to take the Brook treatment plant offline and rely on the MWRA and Mill Pond Reservoir is still a few years out.
To be able to really get the amount of water that we will need into the future, that's the second part of the project that will be going in probably 2 or 3 years from now, which is connecting a new line, totally new line between us and the MWRA in Arlington. So that's years away. It's a process. That's the way we explained it at town meeting. But I want to remind our residents particularly that we're not connected yet, and it's going to be a few years before we are.
At the Brook Water Treatment Plant, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.